This afternoon, 10 arrested, 9 weapons seized in police crackdown ahead of Akwatia by-election. Also to come, in the camp of the NPP, there is an emerging debate over tribe and religion and its role in the 2024 defeat. In this broadcast, in our special feature, we spotlight Ghanaian animators telling fascinating stories through the use of modern technology. Those are the big ones this afternoon here on News Central. Oina has the day off. I'm Kemini Amano. News Central starts right now. Now, the Ghana Police Service has heightened security at Akwatia and its environs with 8 days to the by-election. An intensified operation in the last week has resulted in arrests and retrieval of guns from suspects. The Small Arms Commission has declared Akwatia a no-go area for any form of weapon, as it warns persons arrested in breach of this directive will be prosecuted. We'll hear from a security consultant shortly. First, however, let's take a look at the operation undertaken by the police service. Now, already we know that 10 suspects have been arrested, 9 weapons have also been retrieved. Now, these weapons include 8 pump-action guns and 1 locally manufactured single-barrel gun. So that's that. But what are the key incidents that have led to this point? On 22nd August 2025, police intercepted vehicle driven by a suspect identified as Bernard Kumi Ofosu, somewhere in Akwatia near St. Dominic Hospital. Now, a search on his person led to the discovery of the pump-action guns and cartridges. Now, the suspect also provided a valid license, and investigations, as we know it, are ongoing at this time. But in a separate operation at Akwatia Y Junction, another suspect was picked up, Joshua Amenuku, after retrieving 15 live BB cartridges from him. Pump-action gun subsequently retrieved upon a search of his residence as well. Then a day after, police have been very busy over there because suspect Peterson Joseph was also arrested at Wedua Livingston Junction, also with a pump-action gun and cartridges. And then a fourth suspect at this point, Stephen Nkansa, was found with a pump-action gun at a Samankese direction towards Wedua. So those are what we know so far about the key incidents. Now, I've told you about 4, although we know that some 10 people in total have been arrested, and then 9 pump-action gun, 1 locally manufactured single-barrel gun, and some ammunition also. But let's take all of this to Richard Kumado. Richard Kumado is a security consultant. We'll have a quick chat with you, Richard. But when you hear the number of people arrested, the kinds of weapons that have been retrieved from these suspects, what are your readings into the situation ahead of the by-election? Oh, it appears he's not ready to talk to us. But let's try again. Richard, I appreciate your time this afternoon here on News Central. But talk to us about how you're viewing your perspective on the kinds of guns that are being seized, the ammunition involved, and the number of people. It would appear within the same, enclave.
Definitely, yes. If you remember what the police demonstrated last week, they showed strength and they showed their preparedness in curtailing violence, particularly those that involve guns within Akwatia or for this particular by-election. It is surprising that locally manufactured weapons are the ones that are being seized. What I suspect is that the police went out there ahead of the election to do some level of search to fish out persons with guns and to pick those guns from their hands before the D-Day. What I also suspect the police will do is to mount a police barrier to ensure that illegitimate people do not get into Akwatia, or people with guns that might create problems for the elections do not get into Akwatia. I remember on the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th of July, when we were in Akwatia to do security risk assessment, the police were also there to do what the military would have called wrecking. And that helped them to do the mappings and to anticipate where the red flags might be coming from. But the warnings from the police that troublemakers should not come to Akwatia, these particular actions and the total number of people arrested might be sending the signal that the police are ready on the day.
I see. I mean, you've talked about things that the police could do to prevent, further cases from coming up, or from people from, prevent people from causing trouble, right? But what do you think the police are up against, looking at the numbers we are seeing already? Akwatia is just, the Akwatia by-election is just around the corner.
Yeah, definitely. Akwatia has about 119 police stations. The IGP Yohonu has declared that he's sending 5,000 men into Akwatia. Even if you pair one police station by 30 men, he still has enough reserves at his disposal. We are only hoping and praying that Electoral Commission will discharge their duties on time. The political parties will take their responsibility in terms of polling station activities. Then the police will create a safer environment for voters to cast their vote for their respective candidates. When it gets to close-up polls, where sometimes issues about distortions and duplications and discrepancies in the vote at the coalition center, I believe the police is ready to provide us safer grounds for the Electoral Commission to do their work successfully. Overall, it's a shared responsibility, and we will encourage everybody to behave themselves around, considering what we saw at Abrekumanok and the videos that came up with people determined to create chaos at Akwatia. So that is where we are, Kemini. I think if we see the police and what they've put up and what they have demonstrated on the grounds at Akwatia, it will be a warning to people who want to come and create problems. At the end of the day, do we want to go there and fight one another and create chaos for the elections? No. Do we want the elections to be held successfully and successful candidates are declared as winners? I think that is the top priority for the police and the Electoral Commission.
I see. My question then to you will be whether or not there is real danger ahead as far as that by-election is concerned.
If you hear the politicians speak, it looks to everybody, or it sounds as if Akwatia has become a battleground for NDC and MPP. And that is why, in response, the IGP said, I'm bringing a mobile moving prison, that I'll put everybody who create problem into the prison. But is that what we want? No. I think it's a known knowledge. The aspect of our elections in Ghana has become too violent, and we need to work at it in diffusing that violence. One way of doing that is arrest and prosecution of troublemakers. The other one is public education, and the other one is awareness creation. And the other one will be for the Electoral Commission to do their job. If materials delay and there's displacement of voters and machines are not working, definitely that is going to create some level of agitation, and treacherous elements and predacious characters who will find themselves into Akwatia might use that as premise to create problems. So let's perform our shared responsibilities according to what is before us, and I don't think we are going to have issues. Other than that, the political tension is a little bit high, and Akwatia presents the right environment for trouble causers to embed their vengeance on whoever want to be there.
Good evening here. Thank you so much for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Richard Kumado is a security analyst. We've been talking about some arrests that have been made already in respect of the Akwatia by-election. 10 suspects arrested, some weapons retrieved as well. He's been talking to us about what the police could do to ensure that there's no violence on the said day. But we also know that the Small Arms Commission has made or declared Akwatia a no-go area. Whether or not that works is a conversation for another day. Let's turn attention to something else because it was a busy weekend of intense campaign for the NPP and NDC in Akwatia. The Chief of Staff led the NDC's delegation to campaign, urging residents to vote for the party. The NPP has also intensified its efforts in the area. Yvonne Ikwe is our correspondent in the Eastern region, joining us with the very latest. Yvonne, what can you report now with only days to the by-election?
Well, Timothy, as you rightly said, the days are getting shorter now for the by-election, and so the political activity has heightened up from the national to the regional to the constituency. They are crisscrossing all of the communities, the 119 electoral areas to ensure that they are lobbying as a constituency so that under subsequently the elections they do get very well. So as I speak, it's a very intensified and heightened political activity ongoing. We're expecting a lot more of the big on both sides as a week goes by. We do know that by Friday, the 1 week observation of the deceased former MP would take place. Then you do also have activities as well. We'll be following all of these two political parties as they go. We know that there's a task force, the LPG, also in the race. As they all move with the activities, we'll be casting their eyes exactly what they are telling the electorate.
I see Yvonne, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much. Yvonne Ikwe is our Eastern Region correspondent. Now, the Electoral Commission says all materials needed for the polls have been procured. John Apia Bafu is Electoral Commission Director in the Eastern Region.
For the elections. As I'm talking now, the ballot papers have been printed, and if you dispatch them to Akwatia, the other election material like the ballot boxes, all of them have been labeled. The materials needed, all of them have been sent to them. And then we do our packaging on Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday, we transport everything to the polling station for the smooth conduct of the elections. So I will say that commission is fully prepared. What we are left with is the training of the election officials. And from Tuesday going, we are going there to do the grassroots training for all the election officials for the conduct of the by-elections. You know, we, the Electoral Commission, we don't have interest in who wins the elections. Our common interest is to organize free, fair, and peaceful elections. And that is all that we want to have. So we entreat all the political parties also to comport themselves, conform to the rules, so that at the end, we shall all have the peaceful elections that we are yearning for. We've been engaging the political parties. Our head office held an IPAC meeting with all the political parties, and they discussed the process of the by-elections. The region too, we are going to have a DIPAC meeting with the political parties at Akwatia, maybe on Wednesday, and we are also going to discuss the process. So we'll be engaging them. Our advice is that elections are governed by rules and regulations. So we expect all the political parties to abide and respect the laws. And if they respect the laws, then we are going to have the free, fair, and the peaceful elections that we are all in.
And in other development, the Action People's Party is protesting the Electoral Commission's last-minute disqualification of its candidate, David Ankoma, from the parliamentary by-election in the constituency. They are asking the courts to compel the EC to include their name on the ballot paper, arguing all requirements were met. Now, the party's chairman, Kenneth Nana Kwame, explained their position to TV3.
My candidate is a government worker. He's a nurse in Akwatia General Hospital. He has been working over there for the past 16 years. We presented his pay slips, including the GRA tax numbers, which were verified by the Electoral Commission at Akwatia office. And that is the reason why they asked us to come for balloting. So once they have accepted that one, why would they come back and tell us about the tax clearance? Fast forward, I order my candidate to go to Asamankese GRA office to apply for the tax clearance on the 19th. The same time, we were in a meeting with Inspector General of Police at the police headquarters, including Mr. Samuel Tete and Mr. Bosman. So around 10 a.m. in the morning, when my candidate went to Asamanka's GRA office, they started the proceedings of the tax clearance, in which they presented us with the ledger, stamp it, and forwarded it to me. And I showed it to Mr. Tete right at the police headquarters. So Mr. Tete asked me to forward it to him in his WhatsApp, which I did. 4:30 p.m. after the meeting, when Mr. Tete went to office, Mr. Tete picked up a phone and called me. Say, Chairman, I have received it. Everything is okay. We are okay now. But I should ask my candidate to send the hard copy to Akwatia district office for evidential sake that yes, we have applied for the tax clearance. We have done with this. We have gone through all these proceedings with him. Right after I speak with Mr. Tete made Mr. Kisi call me to submit my logo for the notice of the pool, which I did it. So from there, we thought everything is fine. On the 20th, when they were beginning to print the ballot, around 4:30, that was where we received the disqualification letter from Mr. Tete saying that, oh, we did not present our tax clearance. So what you people are doing is not fair. That is why we spoke to our lawyer and we took them to court to put injunction on the case. So 28 is the court case. We want the court to order the Electoral Commission to include my candidate at the Akwatia by-election.
Now let's focus on the MPP and their race to determine who leads the party in the next general elections. Now, with key aspirants now attacking each other on what could have accounted for the 2024 election defeat, a speech delivered by aspirant Dr. Brian Echampo has got Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia to respond directly, insisting tribe or religion played no role in this electoral performance. This has sparked concerns about the nature of politicking taking place and whether the party's leaders must step in. We can now take a listen to former flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who has strongly condemned what he describes as tribal and divisive comments made by the aspirants against him ahead of the presidential primary slated for January 2026.
As we prepare to go into the primaries, I am very, very concerned and troubled that some of our presidential aspirants have embarked on a religious and tribal bigotry and propaganda against me in a desperate attempt to win votes. They totally ignore all the data and findings about why we lost the 2024 elections and want to mislead the delegates and the party with such propaganda. The one such issue that has come up, and I think it's important for all of us to know, is the Mamprosi-Kusasi conflict. An aspirant has said that delegates should not vote for me because I am a Mamprosi man, and that we will lose votes in the Kusasi areas and other areas. This is very unfortunate and demonstrates a complete lack of understanding of the situation on the ground.
Let's have a quick chat on the back of this. Dr. Samuel Ifriye is a political analyst, is joining us for that conversation. Doc, obviously for a lot of people, this is very concerning. Has the party shown enough concern about how the presidential primary is playing out?
You know, it's quite unfortunate that the MPP is still not finding its feet well in this, that is, after the general election, 2024 elections, and still they are accusing each other and trying to ensure that they put blame on why they've lost. I think I always use the word common sense for these leaders or maybe the party members to sit down and try to focus on the party unity rather than the individualistic perspective. And I think that is why this is forcing one of these aspirants to also accuse Dr. Bawumia for these conflicts, the issues about Mampusi and the Kusasis. And that is quite unfortunate. And I think the party need to sit up, the leaders need to think about party general interest rather than the individual perspective. Yes.
What impact does this kind of politicking have on a party like the NPP that only recently got into opposition and is struggling to find its feet?
You know, I think Article 21 of our Constitution talks about, one of the sections talks about non-discrimination, where we don't have to prohibit discrimination based on race, color, and religion. But you know, in reality, political parties, since I think, let's say the Fourth Republic, even though the Constitution bans this non-discriminatory approach, you realize that political parties tend to use these religion and tribal issues, and that is an undercurrent in a way to achieve their perspective goals, and that is what is hampering some of these conflicts in these areas. You know, for history, you can realize that the Mampusis are aligned to the MPP and the NDC, also the Kusasis, even though Kusasis from Kwame Nkrumah time, they were aligned to the CPP. But because of CPP being weakened, they've now tend to align with the Kusasis. And during the 2024 election, realized that there was an undercurrent of these politicians or political parties trying to influence or use these things, these tribal groups, for their own political interest. And they see that now it has gotten hold, and now even within the party, the MPP party, they are even trying to use against one of the aspirants, that is Dr. Bawumia. And I think we need to ensure that we reason to avoid these things. If not, because research have proven that, you know, Ghanaians don't vote on tribal and religion in a way. They want people, personality, they want people who can solve their problem for them. If that have not been the case, I think we could not have gotten most of our leaders being president in this country.
I see. And so, I mean, let me play the devil's advocate here, right? While you say that it does not play a significant role, to a small extent, for some voters, it does play a role. And so, is it a matter of the bigotry that came along with it, or, you know, in terms of how it was conveyed? What exactly is wrong with what Brian Echampong said?
Is it what Brian Echampong said? Even though, you see, when you are selecting leaders, you know, and you tend to use where the person is coming from, where their beliefs, then you are trying to shift the goalposts to certain kind of groups, and that is what it's against the unity or the purpose of that group. And that is what Dr. Bawumia was saying, that because if you go into that direction and go straight ahead, then you're creating problems, because that is where issues will come up, and then people will tend to come out with those statements than other groups. But in reality, as I said earlier, I realized that Ashanti votes goes to the Ashanti region, goes to the MPP, and you see voter region goes. So you see that they have well played some of these undercurrents, but just coming out to make it such a statement of which you cannot even make a conclusive statement that based on that, the Dr. Bawumia lost the election because of the Kusasi, and so he cannot. You can't use somebody's background, where the origin, as a way to justify that the person cannot turn to lead a certain group of people. And that is totally wrong. And I believe that you need to come and accept and try to apologize to Ghanaians and also to the MPP party. If not, I think it's quite unfortunate for him.
And Doc, as you have outlined, the history of the party is bigger than that. What can party executives do now, particularly at the national level, to send the strongest signal that, look, we do not, condone bigotry ahead of the primary or even for any election at all?
It's true. Even I'm so surprised that the party general secretary has not issued even any release to this concern. It's so baffling that the general secretary has not been acting, because this should not be encouraged. We all live together as one people. We all have our differences, but when it comes to positions, that is where you see people trying to play that card. And you know that the MPP has not found it fit till now. And for someone who is vying to be an aspirant to go to that extent, I think it's uncalled for. And I've been saying that the MPP National Executive is still weak, because they should have acted by now. And that is what is causing these kind of unfortunate statements and some of these intra-party conflicts and some of these issues where somebody just rise up today, make some statement, nothing is being done. I think the National Executive or the General Secretary of the MPP should be up and doing this time to ensure that there should be sanity and people need to be protected in one way or the other. If not, I'm surprised that the party is heading towards more cracks, and then it will be unfortunate for them in 2020.
Dr. Samuel Efri, I appreciate your time with us. Thank you so much. Now, away from that kind of politics, the Controller and Accountant General, Akwatia J, has told the Public Accounts Committee that Ghana's public debt currently stands at a whopping 861.4 billion cedis. An earlier report by the Auditor General submitted to Parliament indicated that this amount was overstated, with fears that it could come with some negative consequences for government's account. But responding to a question posed by the chairperson of the committee, Abna Osei Asare, the Accountant General explained that the figures remain the same, although some minor reconciliations were done to that effect. This is what unfolded at the hearing earlier today.
Madam Chair, what I would say is that we prepare whole of government accounts covering the local government, that's the MMDAs, central government, and then SOEs. So when it comes to the debt figure, we look at that for central government and guaranteed SOEs, and then the unguaranteed SOEs, and the summation of the two gives us a total for the whole of government accounts. When we did that, our figure for the whole of government accounts was 861.4 billion. And that of the central government and the guarantee SOEs came to 711.4 billion. And this is what we reported in the financial statement. But after the report was submitted to Parliament, we met with the auditors, and then we reconciled, we did some reconciliation. But we still came back with the same figure, the same 861 billion for whole of government, and then 711.4 billion for central government and guaranteed SOEs. So far as we are concerned, we reconcile. The figures haven't changed. The figure, as we see in the financial statement, is the same as we have after the reconciliation. And they haven't impacted on the accounts of the state. There wasn't an overstatement, but just some few reconciliations that we have to do with the auditors. Thank you.
Well, I can also say that I have the breakdown of the difference, and that pertains to the various SOEs. What we would want you to do moving forward is collaborate more with the audit service, and also let your responses be timely, because they are also bound by when to report when to submit these reports to Parliament. You know, there's a timeline. By end of June, they also have to report, get the reports ready and submit to Parliament, so that when you don't respond on a timely basis, it affects what they do. So I believe we have brought some clarity to this issue of the overstatement of public debts. The difference had to do with the unguaranteed state-owned enterprises, which we have the breakdown, and that did not materially affect the accounts of government. So I'd like to bring this to an end, and then Ranking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the numbers haven't changed. They are the same.
Yes, Madam Chair, the numbers haven't changed. They are the same as reported in the financial statement.
And what is the debt now?
For the whole of government accounts, it's 861.4 billion.
0.4 billion.
And this includes the central government with the guaranteed SOEs and then SOE, unguaranteed SOEs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Christian Yale is our correspondent covering the PAC meetings for us. He's joining us now with a bit more. Christian, we hear of some payroll infractions as well. Talk to us about those.
Exactly. You would recall that on Friday when the Ghana Education Service appeared before the committee, about 50 districts under the Education Service were cited for almost the same infractions, including unearned salaries, responsibility allowances that were paid to individuals that were not supposed to receive such monies. And so that question was posed to the Controller and Accountant General, who indicated that his office is working with the Office of the Special Prosecutor and other security agencies to investigate the audit report and deal with such persons who are known to validate the payroll for these non-existent persons who you'd rather call ghost names on the payroll. It is something that even the Deputy Finance Minister, Thomas Yankwa Pimoso, indicated that it is of interest to the Finance Ministry. We can take a listen to what Mr. Akwatia J, the Controller and Accountant General, has been telling the Public Accounts Committee.
That they sent letters to Controller and Accountant General to halt these payments. Some said they have done that for a year. Others said they had done that for some months. And Controller and Accountant General has still not been able, has not stopped these payments. Controller, we want to find out from you that clearly if there's evidence to that effect that they have actually written to your end, they have done everything that they need to do, and your people, as in Controller, has not done the needful, we will speak to the Auditor General and leadership and apply the necessary sanctions, because it is becoming too many. Some genuinely tell you, we sent the letters, we have proof, we have done this, we have done that. On Friday, it wasn't a pleasant situation at all. Consistently, we had more than 50 districts being cited for the same issue. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On Friday in the evening, I watched a bit of it on YouTube, and that was around 6 p.m. And I even sent a message to the Director General, Professor Davis, on the same issue. And that very evening, I called Mr. Mark Idle that I wanted a copy of the audit report. And he has promised that this week I will get it. My issue is we shouldn't just end at recovery, because we realized that we were happy when they said recovered and then we take, recovered and we take. We should.
Oh, Christian, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Christian Yale is at the PAC hearings for us. We'll bring you developments as they emerge. You're still here on News Central, still up ahead. New developments emerge on that long-standing and violent conflict between the youth of Tanto Krom and Asanko Gold Mines. I'll tell you more about that if you stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paint because it is small paints that paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
A home is more than just walls and a roof. It's the warmth of family, the assurance of security, and the joy of shared moments. Whether you're returning from abroad or seeking a new beginning, Rehoboth Havens Ayimensa is where your journey truly begins. Nestled beneath the tranquil Ebri Mountains, this gated community offers the perfect blend of modern living and natural beauty. Our 2, 3, and 4-bedroom homes are designed for family living with spacious interiors, elegant finishes, and all the comforts that make life better. From cozy living rooms for bonding, to modern kitchens for culinary creativity, and private gardens for peaceful reflection, every space is thoughtfully crafted. At Rehoboth Havens, your children play safely, your family grows joyfully, and your memories are built on a foundation of care and community. Starting from 675,000 Ghana cedis with flexible installment plans, your dream home is within reach because everyone deserves a place to truly call home. Rehoboth Havens, where futures are built and dreams come to life. Call us on 0553 751933 or 0206 823524 to secure your future today. Rehoboth Social Housing, your housing dream becomes reality.
The news that matters most is the news that hits closest to home.
When it breaks, we are there.
If it touches your family, your city, affects your expenditure, your decisions, as well as your safety, we've got it covered.
It's easy to just cover the news. What we are doing is different, creating a news experience that prepares you for anything. TV3 News, award-winning journalism, world-class quality, on TV and online, right at your doorstep. TV3, first in news.
The heat in the kitchen has produced our winner. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tamale Asante!
Kitchen Wars is back, and this time it's for the legends. Gather your squad of 4 teammates from the same senior high school and get ready to rep your school in the ultimate culinary showdown. Think you've got what it takes to bring the fire? Send in your full names, school name, and year group. Team details now to WhatsApp 0561 913333 to secure your spot on the biggest alumni cooking stage. Kitchen Wars.
Welcome back. Let's take you across the regions now. The long-standing and violent conflict between the youth of Manso Tontokrum and Asanko gold mines continues to escalate, prompting intensified intervention from the Ashanti Regional Security Council. Now, the dispute centered on the ownership of a lucrative mine site turned deadly last year when clashes with mining security resulted in 3 fatalities. With tensions still running high and a resolution elusive, RECSEC, led by the regional minister, has ramped up efforts to mediate the crisis. Now, their strategy involves direct engagement with both parties and a fact-finding mission to the community to definitively establish the rightful owner of the contested concession. Ibrahim Abubakar is joining us with some details on this story. Ibrahim, let's talk about the strategy to bring a lasting solution to this recurring conflict. We know that a fact-finding mission has been set up. Have they started work? What is the scope of work? Talk to us about this.
Well, coming exactly. So the unanswered question that has even made this thing keep reoccurring has to do with who owns the land. And both parties, both the youth group in the area and also the mining firm, are claiming ownership of that same land. And strangely, none of them have been able to prove with any documents. So now the Regional Security Council have decided to involve the Minerals Commission, the EPA, to engage them thoroughly and see who is indeed the rightful owner of that land before they also even make any additional action. So, like you rightly said, they have engaged with the mining firm, that's Asanko Mines Company. They are currently at Tontokrom engaging the owners, and they've also gone to see the mining site, just so they will be able to situate things into better context. For now, they are doing everything possible to make sure that the conflict will be solved once and for all, whilst they try and get youth for the, or job for the youth who are mostly minors. They are also looking at issues to ensure that they will not go and pick someone's concession and unlawfully hand it over to the youth. So they are trying to see whether they will bring some of the cooperative mining scheme in that community so that that will serve as solution to this whole long-standing conflict. Let's listen to what the Ashanti Regional Minister, who is also the chairman of RECSEC, Dr. Frank Amwakwene, has been saying.
Clearly stated what as a government we can do. What we can do is that if Mencom produces documentations indicating that the concession belongs to someone else, what we can do is to negotiate with them to block an area for the community. If we negotiate and we're able to get that, instead of being there without any documentation or papers and working illegally, we will go through cooperative mining to be able to give you the right documentation so that you will be able to do your work in peace. If we go through the documentation from Mencom and the concession doesn't belong to anyone, that one too will let you know the processes within which the community can apply for a cooperative mining license for the area. We want the process to be fair.
Now, Ibrahim, what has been the response of the youth of this area?
Well, for now, they just want the minister to do that due diligence and ensure that at least the responsible cooperative mining scheme is being established there. But one thing that was of great concern to RECSEC when they visited the community had to do with children as young as 12, 13, involved in that mining activity. So RECSEC has directed that anyone below that age shouldn't be involved, and also they should cover all uncovered pits whilst they keep on with the negotiation.
Indeed. Very well, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. We'll now take you to Gbenyiri, where security has been beefed up after a land dispute that claimed 5 lives, leaving several others injured. Most of the residents who fled the community are beginning to return as the Sola Tuna Kalba District Security Committee begins engagement with the feuding factions. Member of Parliament for the area, Andrew Dari Chiwite, earlier called for calm. Let's get on Zoom now and engage Christopher Amwako, who's been following the situation closely. Christopher, to the best of your knowledge, what is the situation in Gbenyiri right now?
Yes, so Kemini, I can say that the security situation has improved because since yesterday when the incident happened, more security personnel have been deployed to the area to ensure that some level of sanity is brought back to the community. That is why we are seeing some of the residents who fled the community beginning to return to their various homes. Now, I can also say that there is a crunch meeting ongoing right now.
Well, seems we lost our correspondent on that call, but Christopher Amwako is our Savannah and Northern Regions correspondent. He's just been giving us the latest on the clashes that took place in Gbenyiri, which led to the loss of lives and injuring of several others. Now, we'll try Christopher one more time and see if he can finish that report. Christopher, if you can hear us, you were telling us that security has been beefed up. What does that mean? Looks like we can have Christopher back, but we'll bring you more on that story in subsequent broadcasts, or you can also head on to 3news.com to read more about it after News Central. We'll turn attention to something else now, because the declining performance in core subjects in the Sojaman area has left educational authorities and leaders with little choice but to intervene through a camp training for students. Now, there's more in the following report.
The two-week camp brought together 400 students from all 70 public and private schools in the constituency. The initiative is designed to boost BEC performance. After 2 weeks of rigorous academic training, many beneficiaries described the experience as life-transforming.
The experience has been amazing because I've made a lot of friends and I've been able to learn new things, especially in science and math.
At first, I didn't know how to solve even long division was a problem to me. But when I came here, because I socialized with the best or the good friends, I was able to do long division. And secondly, first, I was not time punctual. Like I wasn't law abiding at all. If you tell me to wake up 7:30, I will be like, nah, I wake up 9 o'clock. But when I came here, we will sleep around 9 and wake up 4.
The MP presented mathematics and science textbooks to the students alongside other learning materials.
It's going to help students and learners in Etwejaman in so many ways. First of all, it's going to improve upon performance in the 3 core subjects that we took them through, because they don't do well in those subjects. That is science, mathematics, and English.
I haven't been proud of the performance of our children in the BEC over the last 3 to 4 years. But when I was a BC, I started a lot of interventions to support education, including having in-service trainings for teachers in English, mathematics, and science, and particularly in reading. And because of the interventions that we had, we saw the academic performance increasing over the years. But over the last 3 years, we've seen a declining trend in the performance of our children in the BEC. And so I sat with the Education Directorate and said that we need to do something extra. And so I brought up this idea.
Now, WAEC has released the results of over 600,000 candidates who sat for the 2025 BECE. But not everyone is celebrating. 895 results were cancelled and 1,333 others were withheld. That's coming up. That's coming up on
of mobile phones in the examination hall. A number of the candidates are now resorting to sneaking into the halls with mobile phones, and that is one major offense that would certainly attract that kind of punishment. So basically, one of the rules about the examination is that before the candidates go in, the invigilators should search them thoroughly before they go in. Unfortunately, we suspect that the searching is not properly done, or that there is some kind of connivance between the invigilator and the candidates, and that is what is making it possible for them to sneak into the halls with the mobile phones. So for what we tried to do was to ensure that we had educated the people adequately for them to know the do's and don'ts of the examinations. While we spoke to a number of them, we also provided flyers, we provided posters to all of them. And so for any candidate to have their results cancelled, they probably would have known the rule and yet chose to flout it. For those whose, there are others also whose subject results were cancelled. Now, for those subject results, it's either that they had foreign material on them, and that, of course, is against the rules. The ones that we withheld, we are going to hold engagements with them. We want to call them, want to present to them the evidence that we have against them, and then they would have the opportunity to answer based upon which we can take a decision.
Well, John Kapi speaks for WAEC. More on this story again in subsequent broadcasts. We'll take another quick break. When we come back, let's talk about those animators doing magic with modern technology. Here on TV3. Now, across all creative hubs, a new generation of digital artists are redefining what it means to become a storyteller in the 21st century. Ghana's animation industry is stepping into the spotlight as local creators blend culture, creativity, and resilience to bring uniquely Ghanaian stories to life despite economic and infrastructural challenges. Here's a report by Elizabeth Mawena-Leki.
Once considered a niche creative field, animation in Ghana is experiencing a cultural awakening. From short films to advertisement to web series and educational content, Ghanaian animators are using their art to tell compelling and locally rooted stories. These productions not only entertain but also serve as educational resources, teaching children about values, history, and identity through relatable visuals. Ghanaian animators are steadily carving a niche for themselves despite facing major economic and logistic challenges. An expert in animation, E.T. Mensah, elaborated on the revolution and relevance of animation, pointing out the popular animation techniques used in the industry.
When you say animation, I'm assuming you are thinking in terms of the cartoons and the like. But frankly speaking, when you look at animation in itself, animation works with frames. When I say works with frames, it is generally defined as the art of creating movement. So it is the movement that you're creating. It is what happens between point A and point B that has the story. That bit is what we refer to as animation, right? So, and animation has been there for so many years. I dare say that animation was there before even film started. You understand? So, relevance. Animation has been relevant and it is still relevant today. The only thing I can say is that we are using a lot more of animation in our spaces than before. We have a two-dimensional animation, three-dimensional animation, and what we call organic animation. That is like 3D, but a traditional form of three-dimensional animation. Three-dimensional animation is the overarching name, but we have the computer 3D and then the traditional or organic 3D animation. And organic 3D animation has to do with getting a ball of clay, preparing it for the purpose, and then subjecting it through what we call stop motion technique. in order to achieve movement for that item.
CEO of Mills Media, Jesse Sunkwa Mills, pointed out specific challenges that may lead to Ghanaian animators to favor 2D over 3D animation.
I think the reason you probably might find a lot of people doing more 2D animation than 3D animation probably be the lack of resource and tools to work with, because if you do a bit more research, you'd find out that 3D animation can be quite expensive. It would require a lot more tools to work with in terms of the machine you need to work with on a 2D animation would not require as high specs as compared to a 3D animation. In 3D animation, you're talking about like having something like a render farm, very high spec machines, because then you're going to work with very heavy tools and software. Unlike in 2D, with 3D animation, aside from a very heavy machinery that is required, you're going to also need quite
Well, as always, pleasure coming your way with News Central. Thank you so much for your company. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Next is the afternoon show. I'm Kemini Amano. Bye-bye.